welcome to our podcast today, The State of the Nation. Today we dive into the political landscape of Kenya and how the youth are involved in politics, their role, and how the nation is being pushed forward, their engagement and everything. So today I'm joined by the UDA youth leader for our country, and he's going to shed more light on how the youth are involved and how the government is trying to engage the youth in the governance, and also he will shed light on where we are as a country, where we stand and where we are heading. So welcome Brian Kipkorir. Thank you very much for joining us today on our podcast.
I appreciate, and I'm so delighted to join this podcast and also try and deliver or try and also share what we have on our side and the plans that we want to see this country move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Let's start with the bigger picture. As a country right now, how would you describe our position in politics as at now in 2025, considering everything that has been happening in governance? We have seen so much changes. So how would you describe the position we are at this moment?
My description will be very straight to the point, whereby I can say so far we have 2010 constitution that have enshrined itself to ensure that we have a democratic space in our leadership where anyone can hear out their views, their disagreement, their concerns without any coercion or any forced way, in whatever the case. I think our constitution is so well elaborated in a case whereby we can say what is happening is what exactly we'll be expecting. So that the political maturity is growing over days, and there is a lot of shift from the tribal line of politics to politics of ideologies, and that's something that is very positive as per now. But said and done, we also experience some small challenges that are here and there, and this is something that is being promoted by the whole oligarchs of politics, that they don't want to embrace the new dawn where people want the politics of issue-based, politics of ideologies, politics that will propel Kenya to go forward and to have economic muscle. So as much as we are doing that, we are very open and alive to the fact that we have taken more steps to make sure we move forward politically. And I do believe by the time we reach 2030 and going forward, we will have a lot of changes that will be happening in the country, and perhaps Kenya will be one of the examples of how a democracy governed country can be, and as it can be, as you can see now. Yes.
Yeah, of course, you have seen several people being accused of being politically biased, and that led to maybe that is one of the reasons that are stated in the impeachment of our deputy president. But that's not what is being focused on by the Kenyans and the youth who had gotten into the rallies trying to fight for the finance bill to be dropped. As at now, every Kenyan is looking at how the Kenya is, the state of our nation in economics, and also how we are interacting with other countries. So would you say that the country has made a step forward since the election of the new president, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto?
Yes, the country has made a lot of steps. First of all, we got a chance to reconstitute our own kind of our economic policies. That, remember, we were going to default in terms of debt. And the president came in and to make sure that a lot of shift and things were put into well packaged, so that we may have a country that is propelling economically right way. So the president did what is right to ensure that we don't default. Remember, even the president himself, he made sure that we paid our own debt of Eurobonds that was going to expire, coming to make us to default in another essence. So we managed that. But remember, the country that you're talking about, we have a debt over 10 trillion. And this robs a lot of our budget, because remember, being a president at the time when you have a debt of 10 trillion, whereby each and every 100 shilling that you collect 70 shillings go to service the debt, not even to pay. So in that case, it put us in a very hard rock place economically, and that's why you find, as much as the rates of exchange rates were very high, the president is stabilized to bring it at 129, which is currently rating at that. Trying and also to bring other changes when it comes to appointing of the judges, when it comes to reconstitution of the health system, reconstitution of the new funding model in education system, sustaining the current curriculum of the CBC, again coming up with the affordable house, building affordable houses for the Kenyans to eradicate the slums, again coming another with the issues to do with the sustainability in agriculture, to make sure that we have surplus of food production, and that's something that he had achieved. But remember also, once the economy is good, there are indicators that you must see. Do majority of people say that are we having a good kind of economy? But somebody will say it's very difficult to put food on table. If that is the case, then it means we have not yet achieved, or the president has not yet achieved what is expected. So you find there is a lot of issues that there are things that he had scored very well, and then there are things that he had not scored. So I think it's a wholesome challenge that as any leader, or as any president or any political leader will embrace when it comes to these factors of, you have a debt, you have people who want salary, you have devolved units where they need their money to be allocated. There's a lot of issues that are undergoing, but I do believe with the time and with the system that president is putting in place, actually if those apparatus will work well, we will have a different kind of country and the economy will be well. It's a matter of time. We are not saying that we are there yet. Yeah. No, we are not there yet.
But when you talk about this governance, while the president is trying to achieve all this,
yeah,
there is also an oppression to the people, to the mwananchi, of course. Would you really okay, for instance, when trying to pay the debts, of course, that comes down to the people, and they are being now overtaxed. Yeah. What they are saying is being overtaxed. They claim that the life is being oppressive to them, or the government is being oppressive to them, because somebody is earning maybe 50k, but the salary that reaches that person after all the taxes are cut is very small, and they cannot sustain themselves. Do you think that these ideas that the president has, or the government, are oppressive to the mwananchi?
I'm sure before we reach the place whereby we settled on taxing the citizen of this country, I'm sure President explored all options, and they tried to make sure that one of the things that they settle in is to raise the power of the tax payment, and to ensure that those money that goes to fund critical issues like health, education, national security secure fund, other that go to other things that it reflects how the government should. You know, the common phrase that we have is lipa ushuru tujitegemee, and if we don't pay enough tax, then it means we have short of collection of the revenue that we collect each and every financial year. So after exploring those options, the bar for tax collection was raised, in which didn't turn out well for the people because the tax is so high. And I'm expecting that the president again to review those tax measures, because most of the citizen majority of those who have payslip, they felt like they are being robbed, and this is something that, but in real sense they're not being robbed, is the fact that we are living with a debt that is above the ceiling. And if we don't take the appropriate measures, we'll find a country that even those salaries that you get to be taxed will not be there. So it's a two-way. We need to reflect also to make sure that our government, which is the state government, don't lose the money that it's supposed to collect and to pay the salaries. And even the citizens who earn these salaries, also they are not overtaxed in that case, that they cannot even acquire a kind of life that they wish to have. So we must also try and balance. But all in all, we must understand that this country need money so that it can run implementation of the projects and also to provide a kind of secure environment for citizens and businesses to thrive. That's a fact.
But in that case, when trying to tax these people in order to pay a debt or to sustain the economy, there is also the issue of the people who are now crippled in the process of that. So you find someone, I want my child to go to school, but they cannot go to school because, or I'm having debts in school just because my salary was cut to a point, or I am lacking enough food in my house, and maybe I have kids and people who really look and depend on me. So isn't it too much or is there anything that the government is planning to do in order to counter that, to ensure that, yes, we are taxing, but we are balancing these people's lives, to ensure that maybe if I have overtaxed people, I now lower the price of some things, some basic needs like food, clothes, shelter, because currently the life is expensive in Kenya compared to how it was some years back. Now people are having to pay more money for things. Isn't it right for the government to find a stable way to do this without crippling or making the people being crippled financially?
You're very right. A government should find an alternative solution to the turmoil of the economy that most of Kenyans, the majority who have salary, are going through. But again, we must also reflect on what are the things that works for us for the best. Sometimes it starts with us. Sometimes we find ourselves in this situation because of how we have the setup of our families. You find a man with a basic salary of 50,000 having 10 kids, surely. What do you expect? You find a wholesome person with a good money, but again, indulging themselves into things that render them financially unstable. Financial unstable. So we must also try and the community itself, as a Kenyans, they must reflect in their cultural aspect and their way of economically that embodies their living style. And then the government again must intervene and see which critical basic commodities that, if they can reduce their prices, will make the life in Kenya bearable. Every day and every time nowadays you find the prices of estates, when you rent a house, they are going high. You don't see the controllable ways. You just find that mtu anakwambia this house cost 10,000 and just a normal babysitter. So there are things that we need to regulate. We need to have where to fix our prices to ensure that no matter the case, we have a sustainable kind of economy. And then when the economy is well, now we can hike those prices. But at this moment, everything should be at low until we achieve a balanced budget, because we usually have a deficit in our budget every year. So we need to have a balanced budget. Once we have that, then even the price of anything can go high and Kenyans will still afford. But for this moment, anything that goes high, it put Kenya in a situation that they cannot even afford that food to put on their table. They cannot even raise 3 kids. Even me and you, we are in that risk. We cannot even risk to have a woman or a baby because the turmoil of economy. Exactly. You just have to sustain yourself as a single man. Even the ladies are struggling because they are sustaining themselves as the single ladies, because you cannot afford to have another person. So the life is really is not even giving you the freedom of the young people don't have the freedom of interacting with their other mates, and also to have kind of the life that the past people used to have. So it is very difficult every side, religiously, relationship-wise, school-wise, education-wise, health-wise, everything is difficult. But I hope this finance year, the Minister of Treasury, Cabinet Secretary for Treasury, and the Chair of Budget Committee, Chair of the Planning, they are going to have something that, at the end of the day, we're going to have the budget that reflect the real life situation of these people of Kenya.
Of course, talking about that money management and everything, there is also an issue of embezzlement of funds among the government officials. So we might be saying there is no finances, but the finances are there, but they are being mismanaged by the officials, the government officials. For instance, some days before, the president said that the former deputy president asked for 10 billion.
Yeah.
In order to like, okay, how do you ask for 10 billion? Is it even realistic? That's the question that is being asked on all socials and everywhere. Everyone is asking 10 billion. No, 10 billion is a lot of money in Kenya, of course. So if this kind of things happen in government, I need to buy several MPs so that my bill or something that I want will pass. This is government money that is being used. Most of the time, of course. So if this embezzlement of funds is still there, are we going anywhere as a country financially? Because are we going to be stable? Because even if we pay more tax, these officials will keep taking more money. You know,
embezzle of funds and corruption is something that it has been very consistent when it comes to how the public money is used to make sure that it promotes the sustainability and projects that are supposed to be implemented so that it can change the lives of Kenyans. We must also understand one question. We cannot, each and every financial year, when the budget is being drawn, every amount of shilling is allocated to the projects that it has been assessed. So the Minister of Finance or the Treasury always assess all projects that are supposed to be funded. There's no money that comes from Exchequer, from Treasury, to just go and stay somewhere without being used. But again, there are money that go to devolution. You remember some point, some governors even, they have not even took the money from Treasury to go and develop their counties. They have left the money in the Treasury. You wonder, there are those who embezzled, and there are those who don't even take that money to go and develop. So you wonder, are the leaders that we elect the problem? Because I think there's something that Kenyans must understand when it comes to voting for the right leaders. If we don't vote for the right leaders, we will keep crying, we will keep going to the press release, we will keep going to the street, but when the right time comes, when we are voting, we vote for the wrong leaders. So it should start with the people or the citizens of this country when it comes to when they vote the right leaders who represent their interests. That's the first number thing. Number two, each and every financial year, if the resources has been allocated to Stadium A this financial year, like when it comes in on 1st June, we expect another financial year, we don't locate another resources to that stadium. We expect to go and launch something different so that when the 5 years is ending, we can see that the projects has been erected everywhere. Stadium is here, near completion. Hospital is here, near completion. This 200 kilometers of road is near completion. This school is near completion. So that we can now see the mushrooming of projects that are able to be delivered within financial year prism. Because find yourself, today you have allocated 20 billion for this stadium. Another year, the same stadium, President Ruto is going again to launch, allocated again another money. Where is that money that was allocated for this stadium has gone to? So we must also be accountable to our leaders. We must hold them to accountable. If they don't procure, they don't tender well, they don't prove where that money was taken, then we send them home. That is not something to beg. That's not something that doesn't concern your tribe. That doesn't concern where you're coming from. It concerns the welfare of the society. Because once the roads are poor, it means all of us, we have problem. Once the hospitals don't have medicine and the personnel to treat people, then it means all of us, we are crippled. If the schools don't have teachers and lecturers and a good financial system, then it means students don't go to school. So these problems that we have as a country, it is not centered to anyone. It's a problem that we face, either be political class or even that person who anasemanga mtu anayekula mlala hoi pale chini. So this is the problem that we must understand. And I'm sure that if the Kenyans can hold the leaders accountable, these issues of investment cannot be issue of the day.
You talked about elections, and people electing the right people to lead them.
Yeah.
I don't think, or I won't say every Kenyan can say, I voted for this person knowing that he will do this, and he has accomplished it after I have voted for this person. I don't think there is any Kenyan who can stand out and say that at the moment, because everywhere, every person is saying, I elected this MP, he never did this. He said he will make these roads, he never made these roads. The president promised us this, he never did this. So at the moment, do you think that Kenyans make the right decision every 5 years? Or do you think there needs to be a political change, or the people vying for these leaderships, considering the young people now are in and they want to vote in their persons, the people they believe they can lead the country?
You know, they usually say dalili ya mvua ni mawingu. You see, when young people talk of we want to elect young people to be leading us to the right way, who are these young people? We have not seen one. We have not seen one. We have not seen anyone who have come to you and says, these are things that I want to do for you. I want to build good school. We have not seen anyone with the right mindset, right agendas to deliver this country to the way it's supposed to be. That's why you find we are talking this way. The same youths are not voting. The same youths are not taking the voter registration. The IBC is coming. We're going to have those by elections. Let's see from there first.
Do you think the IBC nominations or the appointment of those officials for the IBC, do you think it will be fair and just in order to at least help? You know, the IBC with for us as a country to have incredible elections, we need to have a proper IBC. As stood out like an IBC where Kenyans would doubt the results that they give.
Let me tell you one thing. When you ask about the incredibility of those who are going to be selected as the commissioners of the IBC, one thing I would say is, for me, it doesn't matter how the chair will be of the commission. But once we are there at the grassroots level, we are their voters.
Yeah.
Let's vote for those leaders that we think are the right leaders. Don't joke. If the majority of people vote for this leader, how can they do turn around that result?
Do you believe that the votes are always told?
There's no way. There's something called too big to be reached. If young people say today in our constituency, we are voting for this fellow who is our young representative to go to the National Assembly to represent our issues, and everyone, women and young people vote for that guy. Do you tell me now the few 15% of the votes will be turned to be given to this guy? It is impossible. And you cannot tell me a commissioner is the one who implement and formulate policies at the national level of the IBC. The returning officer at the constituency level is the somebody in charge of those results. So those are the people we hold accountable. And the results are transmitted. You can see them online. So it is very difficult to reach in Kenya. It's very difficult.
But
unless something is, you see, unless the results from the constituency level, it is transmitted to the national, which is the presidential results. That's why it's there. Because just imagine 291 constituencies transmitting results. You know, you can compromise that. That is, in that case, you can because this is the digital era.
Yeah.
You never know who interchange those things.
Yeah.
But at constituency level and county, we can make the right change. We can make the right change, and we will get the right change.
So, with that statement, you can confirm that using this technology, these votes might be altered. The presidential votes.
Might, I say might, but from the grassroots level, MCA, MP, Senator, Women Rep, and Governor, we can change all of them. And once we change all of them, even if the president who comes is pig-headed, definitely we will have young people in the National Assembly who will listen to the people and they will make the right change. Because if the house that is responsible for legislation is the National Assembly, if we have the right members of parliament, then we can change this country. I'm telling you. Even the right governors, we can change this. Not even the president. President is just ceremonious. Kazi yake tu ni kusema nimetenda, nilieka. But people who are supposed to do the right thing is the member of parliament. So the young people should change the governors and the members of assembly.
But people tend to believe more in what the president says compared to these other people, because the president is the head of the nation.
Yeah.
So when you promise us that I'll change this country from this point to this point, we need to see that change. For instance, we saw a change when former President Mwai Kibaki was ruling the country. There was a change. We saw change. We saw the building of Thika Super National Highway, and at least there is something we can talk about after he's gone. When we come to like the leadership nowadays, the leaders don't show anything. All they do is say, I did this, nilitenga. I had allocated these billions to do this and that. And that money, afterwards, we see cases. Now, this money was embezzled. Now cases, and these people are urged to pay maybe 50 million, and you did embezzle almost billions. Now you are paying just 50 million and you are out of jail. Sometimes, do you think this is something that Kenyans can now work with, considering now we want to elect young people, but if young people try to vie for these seats or show their interest in politics, some of them are abducted at some point. So we are left asking ourselves, where is this person? He was trying to tell us this country is going in the wrong way and we need people to take this country in the right way, and now he's gone. Doesn't that develop any fear among the young people who want these positions?
I've never seen abduction during election. That's number one. Number two, when we come to, we must also understand what are the roles of leaders.
Yeah.
What are the roles of governor, president, MCA, senator, member of parliament? If we can distinguish that openly, then it means some issues that we see we cannot be facing. There's no way a member of parliament will come and say mimi ndo nilijenga. That is hiyo si kazi yake. So the sole responsibility of member of parliament is to legislate, amend. You get the point? And hold the executive accountable. That is the job of the member of parliament. There is no point where a member of parliament is responsible for building schools. Their job is just to fight for the allocation of resources.
And who will build the schools?
People who have acquired the tender, constructors.
But these members of parliament are the ones who are supposed to be the eyes of the president. Like, if we say there will be a building that will be a school that will be built, let's say somewhere like Ruiru, a school will be built, and 5 years later we cannot see a school. Who is accountable for that? Isn't it the member of parliament for that area?
He is not accountable for that.
Then where is the money if the school is not there? Who do we ask for the money?
Budget making process it is being undertaken in the National Assembly.
Yes.
And once the budget making process is done, each and every shilling is allocated somewhere. You get the point?
Yes.
If 20 billion was allocated in Ruiru, if it was build roads and schools, the tender is given. And that money should be used for that purposely, for building of schools and roads. The job of the member of parliament is to keep check on what the executive is doing, because executive is the one responsible for implementation of what it has been passed in National Assembly. You get the point?
Yes.
If the National Assembly passed that the financial budget for 1 trillion will go to Mount Kenya and build this ABCD, is this the executive now will be implementing, and then now the National Assembly will be keeping on record. That's why every National Assembly they have committees. Committee for health. If something happened for health, they call the minister. They ask him, why is it that 100 billion was used to procure the system of SHA? So that is how the National Assembly should work. There's no day a member of parliament is responsible on building something. The only thing that they will fail, if they fail to produce evidence that this money goes lost here, or this money didn't be used well there. Those is their responsibility. So they have a wholesome responsibility.
We will come back to that issue. But as of now, the question as we wind up is, will these young people be able to change our country if given an opportunity? And do you think that in 2027 many young people will avail themselves as voters in order to participate in the change of the situation of this country?
It's true. If young people participate in the political space intentionally, they will get a chance to be part and parcel to make change for this country. And if people, majority of young people are going to throw themselves and vie for this position, I'm telling you it will be a political shake, and things will be upside down, and young people will get the majority of the seats, and the country now will start moving to the right the way it's supposed to be, because these old politicians are trying to drag us to the past, to live in their system whereby they don't want to be questioned, they don't want to be held accountable, they don't want to make the change. And the young people are the ones who are very visioned. They want change for their country, and that, of course, young people will make the change to 2027.
So it's that's it from the youth leader of our UDA party in the country, and it's clear that the young people will engage in politics in 2027, and we are sure, or we are expecting, a change in the way our country is being governed. Thank you very much for joining us on this podcast on the state of the nation. See you next time, same place, with a different topic, maybe a different guest, and we will share more. Keep tweeting, keep liking, and keep sharing your comments on thoughts about this interview. Thank you very much. God bless.